This helmet costs more than your house, and if it shifts 1 millimeter, the pilot dies. You will see why soon enough. One single engine produces enough thrust to outweigh the entire aircraft. What happens when that power meets a pilot flying upside down at 300 feet? There is a button inside this cockpit that lets a 40,000-pound jet hover like a helicopter. One button. You need to see it. The military tried to cancel this jet 3 times. What they built instead became the most dangerous weapon system any nation has ever flown. Stay until the end. The full aerobatic demonstration will change how you see modern warfare forever. Here is a radar ghost that flies at 1,200 miles per hour. And right now, you are about to see why no enemy can find it. Its stealth frame absorbs radar waves like a sponge. Every surface is angled to scatter signals away from the source completely. But speed and invisibility mean nothing without a brain. And this jet has the most advanced one ever built inside a fighter. Buried in the nose sits a massive AESA radar. It tracks dozens of air and ground targets simultaneously with terrifying precision. Now look closer. 6 infrared cameras surround the entire airframe, feeding a full 360-degree video straight onto the pilot's visor. This system was designed for missile warnings, but pilots also use it to see through total darkness like it is daylight. Underneath the nose hides another sensor, called EOTS. Think of it as a sniper scope bolted to a supersonic aircraft. It locks onto targets on the ground and in the air, then sends laser-guided coordinates directly to the bombs waiting inside. All these systems talk to each other constantly. The jet fuses everything into one unified picture no other aircraft can match. People call it a supercomputer with wings. But even the smartest brain is useless without weapons sharp enough to act on that intelligence. On the left air intake sits a 25mm cannon, 181 rounds, bigger than an F-16 carries, fired in programmable bursts. Set it to 20 rounds per trigger pull. That gives you 6 or 7 precise strafing passes before the magazine runs dry. Now open the belly. Behind those bomb bay doors is where the real firepower hides, waiting for the mission that demands it. 2,000-pound bunker busters for hardened targets, or 8 small-diameter bombs that glide 70 miles to strike 8 separate objectives independently. The primary mission is suppressing enemy air defenses. Knock out their radar, their missiles, and the sky belongs to your side. But who controls all this chaos alone? One pilot, one seat, no co-pilot. And the way they fly defies everything you expect. Every input to the stick is just a request. The pilot asks the jet to pull hard, and computers decide which surfaces move. Fly-by-wire takes the command, then blends ailerons, flaps, stabilizers, and rudders into the perfect combination, faster than any human could calculate. At slow speed, the jet looks like it breaks physics, but the pilot is simply holding 30 degrees nose up while computers do everything. That trailing edge you see dancing? Those control surfaces are fighting turbulence hundreds of times per second to keep the aircraft perfectly stable. So, what does it actually feel like inside that cockpit? Imagine sitting in the front car of a roller coaster you fully control. Major Kristin Wolff knows better than almost anyone. She has flown both fifth-generation fighters the United States has ever produced. The F-22 Raptor is the queen of dogfighting. Twin engines, thrust vectoring, a larger airframe built to dominate air-to-air combat above all. The F-35 came a decade later. Shorter, smaller, yet it carries double the bomb weight. 2,000-pound munitions versus the Raptor's 1,000-pound limit. Raptor holds 8 missiles internally. Lightning carries 4. But when your mission is ground attack, heavier bombs matter more than extra missiles do. Together, these two jets split the sky. One rules the air above, the other clears the battlefield below. Fifth generation means total dominance everywhere. But none of that matters without raw thrust. And this engine is the most powerful heart ever placed inside a single-engine fighter. Pratt & Whitney F-135, 43,000 pounds of afterburning thrust, pushing an airframe that weighs roughly the same at takeoff fuel load. 2 minutes into flight, burned fuel drops the weight below engine output. Suddenly, you have more thrust than gravity. Acceleration becomes almost violent. That thrust-to-weight ratio lets the jet pivot, climb vertical, and rip through maneuvers that look impossible from the ground below you. Reliability is so high that the pilot never worries about engine failure. Not during training, not during a 300-foot inverted pass over concrete. Now, look at what sits on the pilot's head. This helmet replaces every traditional instrument a fighter cockpit has ever needed before. Airspeed, altitude, heading, threat warnings, targeting data, all projected directly onto the visor, inches from the pilot's eyes in real time. Built-in night vision replaces bulky goggles. The helmet links to those 6 cameras, letting the pilot literally look through the aircraft floor. Every single helmet is custom molded to one pilot's head. The fitting process takes days to ensure perfect alignment with the camera system. 5 pounds of carbon fiber. That is all it weighs. Light enough to handle 9 G-forces without snapping the pilot's neck under load. Pilots personalize them with custom paint. Each helmet becomes as unique as the person wearing it, a signature piece of flying identity. But the helmet is only part of the survival system. Below the neck, every piece of gear serves one purpose: keeping the pilot conscious. The G-suit inflates around the legs and abdomen. It forces blood back toward the brain when crushing gravitational forces try to drain it away. Over that goes the survival vest. Flares, flashlights, tourniquets, a GPS beacon, everything needed if the ejection seat fires and the canopy blows. The oxygen mask connects directly to the aircraft's life support. At 40,000 feet, you have seconds without it before losing consciousness entirely. Then there is the water survival vest. Pull one handle hard, and it inflates instantly, keeping you afloat if you eject over open ocean. All this gear means one thing. The pilot can survive anything from a 9G turn to a bailout over freezing water at night, alone. Now you have seen every system on the ground. The sensors, the weapons, the engine, the helmet, the survival gear layered underneath it. But none of that matters until the wheels leave the concrete. And right now, at Hill Air Force Base, Utah, the afterburner is about to light. Lightning 01, cleared for takeoff. The throttle goes full forward. 43,000 pounds of thrust slam the jet down the runway and skyward. First comes the Cuban 8 at 50 degrees. The jet carves 2 perfect loops in the sky, connected by a half roll between them. Then the high-speed pass. A wall of sound chases the aircraft across the field. By the time you hear it, the jet is already gone. A combat turn rips the Lightning into a tight left-hand circle. The airframe pulls maximum G while bleeding almost no energy at all. Now the inverted pass. 300 feet above the ground, canopy facing the earth. The pilot stares straight down at the runway while flying upside down. Major Wolff called this her favorite maneuver. Not because it is the hardest, but because it feels completely insane to do it that low. The Pedersen loop comes next, followed by a square loop with sharp corners that no previous generation fighter could execute this cleanly at speed. Tactical pitch up. The jet pulls into a near vertical climb from low altitude, trading speed for altitude in seconds flat. Pure controlled aggression aimed at the sky. A roll on takeoff closes the demonstration. The aircraft rotates off the runway and immediately spirals, showing total control before the gear even retracts fully. From the ground, the noise is overwhelming. Not just loud, physical. You feel the engine in your chest before your ears even register it. Watching it live changes everything. Video cannot capture the speed, the scale, or that split second when the jet disappears behind its own sound. Every maneuver looked effortless. But remember, behind each one sits a fly-by-wire system, making thousands of corrections the pilot never has to think about. Now here is something most people miss entirely. The F-35 is not one aircraft. It is 3, and each variant serves a completely different mission. The A model is what you just watched, conventional takeoff and landing. This is the Air Force version, built for runways and forward air bases. Model B belongs to the Marines, short takeoff, vertical landing. This is the variant that hovers, and it does it with a single button press. In the simulator, Major Wolff tried it herself. She said it felt stable and simple, nothing like the older Harrier, which demanded constant manual corrections from the pilot. One button, hover mode. That is the engineering distilled into its purest form. Decades of development reduced to a single input for the pilot's convenience. Model C launches from aircraft carriers. A steam catapult throws it off the bow, and an arresting cable catches it on the deck during landing. 3 letters, 3 airframes. One unified platform covering every branch of the military, from desert runways to amphibious assault ships to nuclear-powered supercarriers at sea. No other fighter program in history has attempted this. One design philosophy adapted into 3 machines that share 90% of their parts and software. That commonality cuts costs, simplifies training, and means a mechanic who knows the A model can work on the C with minimal additional instruction required. You started this journey looking at a radar ghost. Now you understand the brain, the weapons, the engine, the helmet, and the pilot behind it all. The F-35 Lightning is not just a fighter. It is a flying command center that gives one pilot the awareness of an entire squadron operating together. It sees everything. It strikes precisely. And by the time the enemy knows it was there, the mission is already complete and the jet is gone. This is what air dominance looks like in the 21st century. One aircraft, one pilot, total control of the battle space from surface level to the stratosphere. The next time you hear thunder on a clear day, look up. It might just be a lightning doing exactly what it was built to do.